Right, this is it.
So there is a lot riding on Assassin's Creed Shadows right now. If you've been keeping up with Ubisoft, you know that the company is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
A bunch of their projects got...
A lot of trouble is an understatement. It's going downhill. They are getting destroyed. I'm going to make a guess. He's going to say that the biggest concerns are the gameplay, the story narrative, and the quests.
delayed. We've got situations like the layoffs and the studio shutdowns, their major releases not meeting sales expectations. They are hoping that Assassin's Creed Shadows will kind of bring them back from the rut. So I was very curious to play the title. I was able to get 4 hours hands-on with it, and in this video, I'll be sharing my thoughts. I do think that this game is gonna sell relatively well. Assassin's Creed usually tends to sell well, and with the Japan setting, this is definitely a game that's gaining a lot of traction. Now, whether I think this game will be the one that pushes Assassin's Creed to the next level, that will break away from Ubisoft's staleness as far as their game design is concerned, that I'm not quite sure of. Within my 4 hours hands-on time, I will say that I'm not fully convinced that this is gonna win over those who have felt that Assassin's Creed has gone kind of stale. It's gonna come down to whether there is still that sense.
You know, I felt that Assassin's Creed kind of went stale back in Black Flag. Black Flag was the last game that I bought from Ubisoft, and yeah, I'm sure there have been some good Assassin's Creed after that point, but not for me.
Of an overabundance of content that feels insubstantial, that doesn't feel handcrafted. A lot of that copy and pasted stuff that Ubisoft open world games tend to have.
See, that's the thing. Their problem wasn't just the wokeness. The wokeness was just kind of, okay, look, the wokeness wasn't that big of an issue. It was just how they handled it. How they handled the critique, all of the stupid decisions around it, around the critique and around merchandise and dates and etc. It was just, man, it was just like pouring salt in the wound. It was not a good thing. It was so unnecessary. So I personally don't really care about this woke trash, whatever it is. I don't give a shit. If it's a good game, I'll play it. But it's not about that. I just don't have respect for the company anymore. Not after how they handled everything. What I was going to say is that those things are not the biggest issue with the game. Yes, they were big issues, but this game clearly has bigger issues. I've seen a couple of these game trailers and gameplay, whatever. It's not looking good.
Nothing shown in this demo really grabbed me, in some part to do with just how stiff some of the animations look during cutscenes, and the presentation is just, when I look at what, say, like Ghost of Tsushima did, in comparison, this just feels like a bit of a step.
To be fair, though, the game looks good. The game does look pretty good. I'll give it that.
Down, but maybe the narrative will hook me as the rest of the game goes along. But so far, I just didn't have that narrative hook, which for me is an important part of any campaign-driven single-player experience. And there's just a bit of awkwardness to some of the dialogue and the writing that don't lend themselves to natural-feeling conversations, that don't allow me to feel fully immersed in everything that's going on. And based on what this gameplay session presented, I'll be honest with you, neither of the protagonists are particularly interesting. They don't have any, like, personality quirks that stand out. They don't have any, like, awesome chemistry that make their interactions compelling. Nothing in these initial hours showed anything interesting that drew me to these characters. Hopefully that will change over time. I will say that in terms of gameplay, Yasuke and Naoe do feel quite different. Yasuke definitely feels like that bulldozer, the hammer, if you will, who will trounce through enemies and combat scenarios. Naoe is definitely more about agility, about being stealthy. If Yasuke is the hammer, then Naoe would be the scalpel. She can still hold her own in combat. You'll just have an easier time with Yasuke, who has those powerhouse moves and active skills to be able to trounce enemies. And not to mention that with Yasuke, for example, doing parkour is just a lot more awkward because of how slow and chonky he is. Whereas now it just kind of breezes through obstacles
He's
and
not even able to do
environments.
that.
And she just
The
has
fuck?
all the right tools
Damn.
for stealth. And so it's a matter of what kind of approach you want to take with every mission, with every scenario. Whether you want to just like literally bust through the
Oh my
front doors,
God.
which
Okay, that's
Yasuke
cool.
can do, or whether you want to kind of take it through the roofs or through the shadows. And I'd say the moment-to-moment gameplay of the two characters,
What the fuck?
aside from feeling distinct, feels relatively good. I'd say Yasuke's combat, while I still need to play more of it, there is like a nice sense of impact with every strike. I do think that some of the enemy combat move designs just a little weird, where it feels like you're attacking them and then you don't see them get stunned by some of your stronger attacks, and they're automatically able to dish out attacks that will
I hate that.
done by some of your stronger attacks, and they're automatically able to.
What is that? Oh my god, that reminds me. So I played Kazan, the first Berserker, and I was gonna upload it to YouTube, but I was so fucking mad that I didn't think it was fun. Like I didn't think it was gonna be a fun watch. So I deleted it. And it was exactly because of this fucking piece of shit. I was attacking enemies and I was like hammering on them, and I was thinking, like, surely they stagger at some point. Nope, just all of a sudden, poof, puts me out of the way. Like, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. And just like instantly, like you can barely react to it. I don't know. I just felt it was so cheap. It's so cheap. And I'm not saying it has to that I have to stagger them over and over and over. No, that's not fun. But they did stagger me over and over and over, and that was not fucking fun either. Okay? So yeah, I hate that. I hate that.
Dish out attacks that will stop your momentum, and so there is an element of that kind of disrupted the flow. Combat can feel good when it's flowing well, but then there are other times where just that bit of jankiness comes in.
See, that's what I said. I said that the gameplay was going to be bad, or not bad, but I said there were going to be problems with that.
And where it feels like it's just not the most refined combat system.
Great. You know, a company that has made countless of Assassin's Creed games doesn't know how to make an Assassin's Creed game. That's great. You know, that's amazing. Imagine if From Software. By the way, From Software is making Elden Ring. What was it? Night Rain, something like that. Imagine if they just released it and all of a sudden they just forgot how to make an Elden Ring or a Dark Souls game. Imagine if they just forgot how to make a Dark Souls game. Like, bruh, are you fucking stupid? What are you doing? And there's only one explanation, and the explanation is a lot of people either quit or a lot of new people are making the decisions. Maybe both, you know? It's just ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about Assassin's Creed. It's about being stealthy and acrobatic, and how? You can't mess that up. Come on. You can't. That looked really
and
bad.
As far as the stealth and parkour goes, you've got the parkour up and parkour down buttons that you can hold, so you can have more finesse in the parkour. I do like that now it has that grappling hook now, which makes it so much easier to get to rooftops. Vertical traversal feels just a lot better because
really cool.
of now is new tools and capabilities.
And by the way, like, the game itself looks so good. I love this. Like, so good.
Especially with that grappling hook,
it's not enough.
Which not only allows you to ascend to greater heights easily, but allows you to like swing through trees and whatnot. The stealth system now has the ability for you to go prone, which is a nice addition, allows for just a bit more flexibility. So there are definitely some mechanical elements that I did enjoy from moment to moment, though I do still hate scenarios where one of the larger type enemies, like the brute archetypes, when you go for an assassination, if they're higher level than you, then a blade through the throat or through the face or through the head won't end up killing them. It'll deplete, you know, a significant...
You know what? That actually makes sense. I like that. I like that because I don't like that you can just kill everyone with a stealth. You should be able to, like, okay, imagine if you're against this guy, big dude, he has full armor, and you just kind of miss, you know, you don't get You don't stab through the throat. You stab like you just cut the throat, and he's still alive. You know that kind of makes sense to me.
Significant portion of their life bar, but not take them down. It just makes assassination feel a little more secondary, less satisfactory. I've never liked the introduction of that kind of scaling for the assassination part of the game. And the fact that that makes a return is just a little bit annoying.
I get it's annoying, but at the same time, you should probably just look at the fucking level. You can see his level, right? Look.
Then a blade through the throat.
You saw it. You saw the number 24.
A blade through the.
There it is. It says 24, and it's not like you don't have time to see it. It's just that he didn't look. So maybe you should think about that.
Throat or through the assassination.
Surely there are other ways to kill him, right?
If they're higher level than you,
if there isn't, then it's kind of
blade. That's where I'm still quite unsure as to whether this is gonna fall prey to the same old Ubisoft open world formula. They do try to make.
It is also kind of annoying. I get it. It is annoying if you don't have any other means of killing enemies. If they're just too high level, you're like, oh, what the fuck do I do? Then you have to like stab them and then hide and then come back and stab them again. Like, what? Doesn't make any sense. But again, you don't want the stealth system to be too strong.
Make exploration and going after quest objectives a little more engaging by having the system where you can send a scout and you can kind of pull that up on your map, and there's this big area that you can send your scouts in to unearth the objective marker by using the hints on the objectives to know where on the map you use that big area scout system, almost like as a radar. And I'll be honest with you, that didn't really enhance the sense of exploration. It doesn't feel like there's much of a challenge to it or sense of like critical thinking involved. The clues are so obvious and the scouting system is like so powerful that it just feels like it's just additional button presses to then just end up following a quest marker after essentially some very easy investigation. I didn't get to mess around with side quests all that much. There was one I stumbled upon where there's this orphan girl who was asking me for help, but I wasn't able to do that side quest before my time ran out. So I don't know what the quality of the side quests will be, whether they'll feel kind of really cheap and very kind of thrown together, or whether all of the side quests feel like they have substantially written arcs where every side quest feels like it has a place in the world and like it was handcrafted instead of just littering the world with really menial feeling tasks that don't make for compelling side quests. That's a trap that a lot of Ubisoft open world games tend to fall into. I don't know how the sense of exploration will feel like in this game, whether it's going to be the same affair of just like following a bunch of map markers based on what the Ubi Towers reveal. And yes, the Ubi Towers are back. You will be going to the peaks of certain architectures to reveal parts of the map.
I've always liked that. I have always liked the fact that you have to climb to a peak to get a map or get a fraction of a map. That just makes sense, you know. You stand up there, you're looking through the environment, you're scouting and memorizing. It just makes sense, you know?
And the activities that lay there. The map itself is also just massive from what I could see, and I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. I prefer density over volume, quality over quantity. I just hope that the open world actually feels fun to explore and like the activities within them don't feel as menial as they've been in the past. But I don't know, it just feels like every time I hope for that, Assassin's Creed tends to disappoint in that area. And Ubisoft open world games in general tend to disappoint in that area. So while usually I'd be excited for a world that's bigger, when it comes to Ubisoft, that actually worries me more because it feels like it's going to just be stretched thin, this map that won't have enough substance to back the size of it. Though I hope I'm wrong. At the very least, though, the open world does look fairly beautiful. I do think the environmental design, the vegetation and terrain, the architectures and all of that does look pretty. When the wind blows, you can see the foliage just kind of swaying about as you ride your horse through Japan, and all of that does look very pretty. So it's nice to just kind of take the environment in. Each character is viable, but one might be better suited for. Like, you can still use Naoe in combat-heavy scenarios. But yeah, I mean, so far it feels like the bottom line is, if you like modern Assassin's Creed, this is just more of that with some refinements, the combat and the parkour system and stealth. I do want to finish the game before I share my final thoughts, but I'm not convinced that this will be able to live up to or surpass the likes of Ghost of Tsushima, which for me kind of became the new Assassin's Creed. Just feel a little smoother and a little more versatile, and like you're more in control. But who knows? Maybe I'll come to appreciate Assassin's Creed Shadows if I play more of it.
Like I said, I think the game will have problems with the story, narrative, and the progression of the story. It will have problems with the gameplay itself, fighting mechanics, etc., and just the fluidness of it. And what was the last thing I said? Yeah, I don't know. At least those two. I mean, I think those two are really important, and I think they might struggle with that one. Also, just the characters themselves. They have to be relatable in some way. You know, you have to like the character that you're playing, right? Anyways, let's check the comments. I like the comments. I love seeing the comments. Let's see. Is it bad that I'm more hyped for the drama than the actual game itself? I think a lot of people feel the same way. You can't insta-kill powerful enemies with stealth attacks. Isn't that supposed to be the whole bread and butter of AC games? I mean, I kind of find that to be boring as well. The AC game everyone wanted without anything anyone wanted. Jankiness is probably the best way to describe it. The game looks horrible compared to other Japanese themed games. I mean, okay, to be fair, the other Japanese themed games are made by people in Japan or China, and those games are made with pure love. And you can clearly see the difference. And not just love, knowledge. They live it. So they have such an advantage over Ubisoft. I don't even know why Ubisoft would go this length to make a game like this. It's very ambitious. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.